Hello my dear students, welcome back to Aditya tutorial. I'm Rahul. Now in this video I'm going to discuss the vapor pressure of solution of non-volatile solute in volatile solution. Okay, so for this let us understand taking one example here. Simply I take a one container and now in this container I'm going to fill water. You can see here, so at the surface we have only water molecules. Okay, I will take one more example. Now in this I will take water plus, so this is a layer of the water. So in that there is water molecules are present, that is H2O, and along with that I'm going to add a solute, that should be a non-volatile solute in this. Okay, now at the surface and inside the water there are non-volatile solute particles are present, even at the surface. Alright, some molecules at the surface, but at the same time at the surface, what about the water molecules? So they are also present. Okay, but we have to compare the first and second. In the first case, at the surface you can see that only water molecules are there or only solvent molecules are there. Therefore I'm going to write here pure solvent, and it is solution which contain a solute which is a non-volatile. Okay, now we'll check the surfaces now. And in the first, and when we are considering here pure solvent, you can see that at the surface only the water molecules are present and they can evaporate. Okay, so evaporation depends upon the surface area. I'm going to write here vaporization is directly proportional to surface area. So now assume that in this case, in the case of pure solvent, there is a large surface area for the pure solvent to get evaporate, and because of that reason, after the evaporation we get more number of water molecules in the vapor phase. The reason is they're having more surface area in the pure solvent, and therefore there is more vaporization. Now come to the next part. In the solution part, you can see here there is a solute particles at the surface which reduce the number of the solvent particles at the surface. So here we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 solvent molecules are there, but here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 we have. Therefore the number of the vapors of this water or the solvent, here it is less as compared to the first case. So here more vapor is produced, and here it is less vapor. So only thing for this is that in this compartment we have less surface area for the liquid and that get less evaporated. But in this case there is a greater number of molecules at the surface, greater surface area, greater will be the evaporation. We know that greater the vapor pressure, greater the vapor molecules, greater will be the vapor pressure. It means that these molecules which having a large numbers produces large vapor pressure. Now in this case only a few the vapor molecules are there which produces low vapor pressure, and therefore we can give a statement here that vapor pressure of pure solvent and here vapor pressure of solution with that containing a non-volatile solute, if it is contained. Okay, in that case the vapor pressure of the pure solvent is always greater than the vapor pressure of the solution. This is the concept where we have going to study here the vapor pressure of solution of non-volatile solute in a volatile solution. It means that pure solvent have greater surface area, greater vaporization, and greater will be the vapor pressure. But in the solution, the surface is occupied by non-volatile solutes, and hence the surface area is reduced, and therefore vaporization is also reduced. When the vapor molecules are less here, then we get here low vapor pressure. Hope you understood this, students. Okay, now we'll apply the concept Raoult's law for the vapor pressure of solution. And we know that here the total pressure created by the solution is equal to the partial pressure of the solvent. So assume that I will take a solvent A here. So where A is solvent and I take the B as solute. B is solute plus vapor, that is partial pressure of B. The total pressure of solution which contain a non-volatile solute, I am going to mention here non-volatile solute it is. The total pressure of solution is equal to partial pressure of solvent plus partial pressure of solute. Now partial pressure of solvent can be given by partial pressure of solvent in purest form multiplied by its mole fraction, that is xi A, plus the partial pressure of B. You should be noted here that when there is a non-volatile solute is there, means any solid particle if you take, the vapor pressure of that solid is taken as 1, okay, or unity. So therefore, the vapor pressure of the any solid is taken as 0. It do not having any vapor pressure, students. Assume that. So here when we take here a solid and a solute do not have any vapor pressure, therefore vapor pressure is equal to 0 for the solids. Remember it is because it is a non-volatile solid. So if it is non-volatile solid, the vapor pressure of this solid is 0. Therefore Pb naught into, that is, or you can say that xi B, and we get here the P naught A into xi A. This term becomes 0 because the vapor pressure or partial pressure of this solid is 0. So therefore we get here P total is equal to the partial pressure of the solvent and mole fraction of solvent we get. We know that the mole fraction we can give here as xi of A plus xi of B is equal to 1. But we can write this xi of A in terms of xi of B, that is xi A is equal to 1 minus xi B. So now I will take this is equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. I just add these two values. The total pressure P is equal to, we get here P naught A, the xi A value is 1 minus xi B. Okay, so then in the next step P naught A minus P naught into xi B. Xi B is mole fraction of solute. This term I will take on the other side. It becomes P minus P naught A is equal to minus P naught A into mole fraction of solute. Now I just interchange here and eliminate the negative sign. Then it becomes P naught A minus P is equal to P naught A into xi B. Now this P naught A I take on the other side, it becomes a P naught A minus P divided by P naught A, that is equal to mole fraction of B. So term here P naught, this is quite interesting, P naught A minus P is the lowering of vapor pressure. This is equal to lowering of vapor pressure, and this lowered vapor pressure is compared to the standard value, that is pure form vapor pressure here of the A. Then here P naught minus P divided by P naught A, this is called as relative lowering of vapor pressure, because this is the P naught, this is actual value of the vapor pressure, in that this much is reduced, that is the lowered vapor pressure. How much it is lowered, that is we comparing with the standard value, therefore it is termed here as relative lowering of vapor pressure. So finally we can conclude at the end of the discussion, that is the relative lowering of vapor pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction of solute. This is why required here. The relative lowering of vapor pressure is dependent on the mole fraction of solute. So how are we going to define it? The relative lowering of vapor pressure is equal to mole fraction of solute when the solvent alone is volatile. When solvent alone is volatile in this case. Let's see some more points regarding the ideal and non-ideal solutions now. Okay, here is the term ideal and non-ideal solutions. Ideal and non-ideal solutions. So generally when a solution which obey the Raoult's law, okay, any solution, they assume that there is a solution and this solution is obeying the Raoult's law. Then it is termed as ideal solution. Okay, this is a condition. So this should be noted that the concentration of the solution should be varied in entire range. Means that the Raoult's law should be applicable for this solution for entire range of concentration. This is entire range of the concentration. Entire range of the concentration. Entire range of the concentration. So then only that solution is termed as ideal solution. So I will repeat once again. The solution which obey the Raoult's law for the entire range of concentration, then it is called as ideal solution. Okay. So for the ideal solution, the enthalpy change for the mixing of pure component is 0. For example, assume that you have a container and in this container you are taken a certain solvent. Assume that this solvent is termed as A and in this you are adding here solute and that solute is termed here as B. Okay, now listen. Enthalpy of the two components is different. Okay, the enthalpy of solute is different and enthalpy of solvent is different. When you mix the two components, particularly when the two pure components, the change in enthalpy should be 0. Means there is no liberation of the heat or no absorption of the heat observed in the solution. Therefore, delta H, that is, I'm going to write here, delta H mix. When two components, when you mix A and B, there is no change in the enthalpy. The enthalpy remains constant, the before and after the addition. Okay. Sometimes what happens, the solvent-solvent interactions means if there is A to A interaction is there, it means that solvent molecule attracting the another solvent molecules. Like that, there is a B to B interaction is there. So B to B interaction means two solute particles are attracting like this. Now what happens when B come in contact with the A? In this case, A come in contact with B, the force of attraction is very strong. Then the volume of the solution becomes less because the two particles are stay closer to each other. Okay. So, but in this case, for the ideal solution, the whatever the attraction is there between the two solvent molecules, that should be same as the attraction present between the two solute particles. Therefore, so attraction between the solutes, attraction between the solvents, and attraction between the solute and solvent is same. In that case, the change in the volume of the mixing the two component should be 0. There is no change. Whatever the initial volume of the solution is there, that should be the remains the same after the addition. Okay. So at the first case, what you seen here, that there is no change in the enthalpy. The meaning of this, there is no heat is evolved, okay, and no heat is absorbed during the mixing of two components. Okay. And in the second one, what we've seen that the volume of the solution equals to the volume of entire components. So whatever the volume of solute plus volume of solvent is there, when you add these two, the volume of the solution remains same. That is, solvent-solvent and solute-solute interactions are the same as the solute-solvent interactions. Okay. So then only the volume of the resulting solution is 0. The perfect ideal solutions are rare. They are very rare. But solutions of N-hexane, we give some examples here. Solutions of N-hexane plus N-pentane, benzene and toluene, benzene plus toluene. You can write even chloroethane and bromoethane. Chloroform or dichloroethane are some of the solutions which are not ideal, but they behave somewhat like ideal, near to the ideal behaviors. They obey the Raoult's law at certain concentrations. Okay, so let's see what are the non-ideal solutions. For the non-ideal solution, I take the same container, and in this container I take a solvent, that is solvent, I name it as solvent A, and in that I'm going to add a solute, and the name of the solute here, it is B. Okay, so now we are discussing here non-ideal solutions. So non-ideal solution means there should be a solution and that do not obey, okay, that does not obey the Raoult's law, obey the Raoult's law. For entire range of the concentration. Okay, some solutions may obey the Raoult's law only for the little concentration or at particular concentration, but it should not obey at entire range of the concentration as we discussed in the ideal case. So there should be a solution that does not obey the Raoult's law for the entire range of the concentration of solute or a solution. Okay, that is known as non-ideal solution. We have here the vapor pressure here of this solution is either higher or lower. Okay, so whatever the vapor pressure is there, that should be somewhat higher or lower as predicted by Raoult's law. Okay, so here we have one important term. The vapor pressure may vary. That should be vary. That may be higher or it may be lower as predicted by the Raoult's law. Predicted by Raoult's law. And therefore we term it as a non-ideal solution. So if assume that vapor pressure is higher, if vapor pressure is higher or vapor pressure is lower, okay, as predicted by a Raoult's law. Assume that if the vapor pressure of the solution is higher, the solution exhibit positive deviation. That shows positive deviation. So I will explain that what is a positive deviation. And if there is vapor pressure is lower, then it is exhibit here negative deviation. Negative deviation. Okay. We'll see some parts here. For the first, I will discuss here what is positive deviation, and that can be explained by using a graph. Let's see now. For the positive deviation, I need a graph here. Let's see, I have a graph here. Along this axis, I will take the vapor pressure, and this axis I will take the mole fraction. Mole fraction. Okay. Again, along this axis, I will take here vapor pressure. Now we know that there is a solution. I will write here. This is a container. In this container, I made a solution by dissolving a solvent. Solvent is A and solute is B. This is solute and this one is solvent. Solute and solvent. Now actually what happens here, assume that here the mole fraction of A is equal to 1 and that go on decreases, and mole fraction at this point it becomes, mole fraction of A becomes 0. And we know that the sum of the mole fraction is always equals to 1. Therefore here the mole fraction of B is equal to 0 and here mole fraction of B is equal to 1. क्योंकि यहाँ पे दोनों ऐड करने के बाद we should get here one value. Okay, so now we consider only for the that is A. What do you get? See, so if it is ideal solution, when the mole fraction of A is 0, the vapor pressure of the A is also 0, and therefore the point is here. As the mole fraction of the A go on increases and become up to 1 here, the vapor pressure is also increases along this line and reaches to maximum. And similar thing we observe for the B, solute B. So assume that here the B mole fraction is 0 and vapor pressure of the B is also 0. But as the mole fraction go on increases and becomes maximum at 1, the vapor pressure is also increases. Okay. But actually the thing is, for the positive deviation, whatever the ideal dotted lines we showed here, this is not the exact values. for the A, we have a value like this. This is the vapor pressure. So it is deviated from the ideal behavior. So similarly, for the another component, that is B, we have here like this. It is deviated from its positions, and therefore the ideal behavior, we can extend this by connecting the lines. But for the non-ideal solutions, that too for the positive deviation, this will be like here. The vapor pressure is somewhat greater than the ideal, that whatever it is, dotted lines are there. These are the values calculated from the Raoult's law. But the colored lines and this white line indicate, hard line indicate that deviation of the vapor pressure from the Raoult's law. Okay. For the solution which shows a positive deviation from the Raoult's law, the intermolecular forces attraction between the solute and solvent. Listen carefully. The intermolecular attraction between solute and solvent, that is A and B. B is solute and A here solvent, is weaker. This is weaker than those of the A to A interaction and B to B interaction. So whatever the attraction is there between the two solute particles and whatever the attraction is there between the two solvent particles, which is still weaker in the solute solvent interaction. And in such solutions, the escaping tendency, means breaking of the bond between the A and B, is easy. That is, the escaping tendency of the molecule is easier component from the solution to convert that into the vapor phase. That results in the positive deviation. We can see here, we got here positive deviation. Okay, a mixture of ethanol, example, a mixture of ethanol and the acetone shows the positive deviation. The molecular acetone interfere with the hydrogen bonded ethanol. So assume that here ethanol molecules are there, two ethanol molecules are there, and here one, that is acetone molecule, is there. This acetone molecule interfere between the two attractions. Here already there is hydrogen bond is there, but this acetone break that attraction and form a new attraction here. That is the attraction is here. Now between the two alcohol molecules there is no attraction is there, but alcohol and acetone are attracted, and because of that reason the ethanol also escapes and acetone also escapes, and by that here increase in the vapor pressure of the solution. Okay, so hence escaping tendency of the components from the solution to the vapor phase increases. Bond breaking is endothermic process. In this case, bond breaking is endothermic process. The energy needed is used up from the solution itself. Whatever the solution having, the bond breaking and bond forming is there only it is used. Therefore, mixing of component, whatever when you mix A and B, the mixing of component is accompanied by the decrease in the temperature. So therefore, in this case, delta H mix, enthalpy of mixing is greater than 0. So also the volume of the solution, if you compare, so we know that if the two solute or solvent molecules attract stronger here, solute particles are also attract stronger. But when you add here solute and solvent, the attraction between the solute and solvent is less, and therefore the volume of the mixing is greater. That is, delta V mix is greater than. Okay, so solution of N-hexane and ethanol and water, acetone and carbon disulfide, that even we can take example of carbon tetrachloride and chloroform, acetone and benzene shows some of the positive deviations. Okay, so in the next video I going to discuss the negative deviation. The exactly opposite concept is there, whatever we discussed here in this video. Thank you for the watching, students.